morning with my mind stayed on freedom. Woke up this morning with my mind stayed on freedom. Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. I'm walking and talking with my mind stayed on freedom. I'm walking and talking with my mind stayed on freedom.
Praise God.
I'm walking and talking with my mind.
Yes, sir.
Stayed on freedom. Hallelujah.
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 Hallelujah. Ain't no harm in keeping my mind stayed on freedom. Ain't no harm in keeping my mind.
In hope,
In prayer,
we're right here.
in hope, in prayer,
We find ourselves here. In hope,
in prayer,
we're right here. In hope,
in prayer,
we find ourselves here. In hope,
in prayer,
we're right here. And we rise. That's the verse, and we're all going to sing that together on the verse.
we
Rise. All of the children, rise. Elders with wisdom, rise. Ancestors surround us, rise. On the third one, it goes eyes on that last rise. And then we go into the chorus. In hope, in prayer, we find ourselves here. In hope,
in prayer,
we're right here. In hope,
in prayer,
we find ourselves here. In hope,
in prayer,
we're right here. We rise up from the wreckage. Rise with tears and with courage. Rise fighting for life. Rise. All right. There's a little more to it, but y'all got the idea.
We're here. These will be created using mostly the national language and then just adding a couple of things.
All right.
To Texans.
Copy some demands. Looks like you got a copy. Would you like a copy of our demands?
Yeah.
Would you like a copy of our demands? Copy of our demands, sir? You may already know them.
So this is Tane. Tane is going second. Speaker level. Yes.
We should get together. Shane will be here too, right? Oh, he's not.
It's not a formal one. Yeah, I'm happy to help with that. I kind of want to do it.
Good. And eyes on things.
Hey, make sure you put your mouth like right on it.
I'm Reverend Cantor from First Unitarian Church in Dallas. Personal story to tie the environmental degradation to healthcare. The first day I was ever in Texas, we moved here from Massachusetts. My 1-year-old had an asthma attack. I ended up at Children's Hospital in Dallas. We entered a room that had about 45 or 50 children on nebulizers trying to get a deep breath, mostly because the air quality in Texas was bad. That's a story that happens every day in our hospitals. Our air quality puts our children in danger. Environmental degradation is tied to so much in healthcare in our state. More than 7 million children live in Texas. 1 in 4 live in poverty, and that 1 in 4 of 7 million are more affected by environmental issues, water and air quality, than anybody in the state. Black and Latino children are 3 times more likely to live in poverty than our white children, and that is just not fair. That is morally irreprehensible. Texas is also one of the highest states in the uninsured for children. They have not expanded Medicaid or protected Medicare, and every day they put lives of children and adults in danger. Texas leaders want to focus on bathroom bills to protect our children, which is ridiculous. They want to remove funding from women's health programs, and that's ridiculous. What they lack is any focus on what really matters to Texans, which is the protection of their health and their rights and their ability to pay for health care. As a faith leader, I find this morally reprehensible. Our presence here is a call on people of faith around the state and around the nation to demand government serves the poor, to live out the call to do justice and love mercy. I want to quote you a letter from James, the 2nd chapter, that says, "Suppose there are brothers and sisters who need clothes and don't have enough to eat, and I would add, can't afford to get their bodies cared for or their children cared for. The Bible says, what good is there in your saying to them, God bless you, keep warm and eat well, if you don't give them the necessities of life? Let us stand together, people of faith and people of all faiths and people of no faith at all, for the health and well-being of our planet and the people who live on it." Amen and amen.
Forward together!
I ask you to please go and join us on the poorpeoplescampaign.org, and please share the live stream video from the Texas Poor People's Campaign online, Facebook, and Twitter.
Oh, somebody's hurt my brother, and it's gone on far too long. It's gone on far too long. Gone on far too long. Oh, somebody's hurt my brother, and it's gone on far too long. And we won't be silent anymore. Oh, somebody's hurting our
we are here. We are here with the state of Texas, people of Texas that are affected by this every single day. People that are affected by the pipelines, by the gas lines, by the oil refineries, by the fracking that is going on in our neighborhoods, in the cities like McAllen, Brownsville. All of these pipelines that are going through water reservoirs and they're contaminating our water. This is something that is devastating and that has been going on far too long. And what people do not realize is that this is done on purpose and it's affecting our black and brown communities the most. And they do it on purpose because we can't fight back. Well, here we are. We are fighting back from across the state of Texas. From cities like here in Austin, Dallas, San Antonio, Waco, and even Rio Grande Valley, Dallas, from Houston. Yes, some of us traveled from Houston. We are gathered here from Abilene, Texas. Where else are we from? We're from all over, right? Guadalajara, Mexico. How about that? We are here because we understand the devastation that happens, and we are here because Texas is one of the leading states that is constantly promoting fracking, and it happens here at the state capitol, and then it's, again, these permits are issued at the Texas Railroad Commission. So we're here for a reason to tie the ecological devastation along with healthcare. They are directly correlated. It's done on purpose. It's done on purpose to cripple us, and for what? For profit. Well, we're not going to take it anymore. We're not going to stay silent anymore. It's not right. It's inhumane. It's unjust. And we are here to bring attention to those things by allowing these speakers that have been directly impacted to talk about these issues that are very important that need to be addressed. Connie, you're up.
Good afternoon, everyone. I want to thank each and every one of you for coming out today, taking time out of your day to speak up for justice. My name is Tane Ward. I'm an indigenous Chicano with Calculia Mayatona. I'm the director of Equilibrio, the Decolonial Organizing Project, and I'm an organizing director for the Sierra Club. And I'm happy to be here with all of these people to bring attention to the state of health of our bodies, of our people, of our communities, of our democracy, and of our land, all of which are related to each other. The sickness that we have in our society is because of the sickness that we have in our hearts. And it's the sickness that we put upon this land and on these people. This sickness, rooted in colonialism, administered by capitalism, is a disease, and the symptoms of this disease we're very familiar with. We're familiar with injustice, we're familiar with corruption, we're familiar with poverty. And we're used to focusing on all of these symptoms. We're used to focusing on the sickness. And those who fight monsters must be careful that they do not turn into monsters. But when you gaze long into the abyss also gazes into you. And oftentimes we find when we fight the sickness over and over again, that we start to become sick. We start to feel sick. We feel that our power is taken from us. We feel dragged down by the corruption. We don't need to focus on this sickness. We need to focus on our healing. We will heal from this disease. What we ask for is relatively simple. We believe that those most affected by things like pollution should have a say in whether or not there are polluting facilities in the areas immediately around them. If these are coal-burning fire power plants, we should have a say in whether or not these remain open. If this is fracking, which increases the ozone levels, which cause asthma in children, we should have a say over whether or not frack wells go in. Frack well injection sites, which have been known to be correlated with earthquakes, which are currently threatening sacred springs like Balmorhea. We should have a say in whether or not that water gets contaminated in that way. We should have a say whether or not pipelines are able to cut across our pristine areas like Big Bend. Furthermore, we should have a say in whether or not our resources are extracted only to be shipped overseas, like in the Dos Republicas coal mine in Eagle Pass, or the 3 fracked gas terminals that are being proposed in the South Padre Island, our last clean beach in Texas.
So we are taking this fight here to the Capitol. We're taking it to the hearts of our people. We're going to stand at the Railroad Commission, who give out permits, who rubber stamp every day for the oil and gas industry, allowing fracking and frack injection wells in our state. Demand that we stop. But that's not all we're asking for, because we understand that the health of our people is directly tied to this. Everyone in this country deserves to have health care. Period. And that health care should be culturally relevant to whoever wants it for what they need. It should also cover fully the rights of women, including the right to have an abortion, as well as for maternity care. These things are culturally normal. They are part of who we are as a people. They are markers of a healthy society. Physically healthy, our land healthy, our people healthy, our society healthy, our democracy healthy. And this is what we will focus on. We take these demands, and I say they're relatively simple. But we must have them in the greater context, not focusing on the sickness, the poverty, and the pain, but focusing on the healing, coming together with our hearts open to connect, to build relationships with one another, to build relationships with this land that are positive, that are nurturing, that build us up and make us more powerful as people. Because this power is where our healing will come from. This was what will make us strong, what will give us unity, and that was what will allow us to evolve into a healthy society for everyone. Thank you all very much.
There are very important things that are being said here today, and we have to understand that everything that we're talking about is interconnected. And the fact that there is pipelines, there is oil, there is fracking, there is all kinds of chemicals going into this land, it's hurting our people. It's hurting our people on multiple levels, it's hurting our earth. And because of those things, we have things like global warming, and then we're suffering through hurricanes like Hurricane Harvey, Maria, and Katrina. This has been going on far too long. Far too long.
Far too long.
We are tired of being silent. We are tired of consenting. And honestly, we've never consented to this. We've never consented to be harmed. We trusted our government to do what was right for us, to not start these wars for oil, to not frack our land, to not poison us. This happens every single day. And we are here to say, I don't know more. We are here to say, silent no more. We are not going to let this happen ever again. We are going to uplift our people. We are going to inspire them. We are going to empower them with that power of knowledge, to encourage them to go out there and do what is right, what is morally right, and hold our elected officials accountable. We will idle no more. Idle no more. We walk in the light with our brothers and sisters. We stand and fight. Song and prayer. This changing time. This is very hard for me right now. This is true reckoning. Oh, the human awakening. Together, brothers and sisters, I don't know more. Together, brothers and sisters, I don't know more. We walk in the light with our brothers and sisters. We stand and fight with drum and song, the prayer, a change in time. This is a true reckoning. Oh, the human awakening. Together, brothers and sisters, I don't know more. Together, brothers and sisters, I don't know more. Together, brothers and sisters, I don't know more. Forward together. Forward together. Not one step back. Forward together. Not one step back. Who are we? Poor People's Campaign. We are the Poor People's Campaign, and we are one. Who are we? We are one campaign. We are one campaign. One more time. One campaign. Poor People's Campaign, and we are one. Forward together. Not one step back. Okay, thank you.
afternoon. I'm Shellis Watson, Austin resident of 20 years, advocate of fair chance hiring Austin, paid sick days Austin, and various other campaigns dedicated to human rights and social justice. I'm also formerly incarcerated, and I'm in the process of being evicted. Thanks for your time. I'll focus on the last decade where I've failed to have consistent health care, equitable employment, affordable housing, among other deficit-heavy circumstances. Managerial and operational as well as menial roles in my past that had never enabled health benefits but demanded an unhealthy work-life balance, I'd like to put into perspective. City and state officials have continued to deny Travis County, right where we stand, citizens the right to affordable housing in their effort to appease out-of-state residential and commercial talent. In recent years, after an emergency inflamed thumb surgery, I was left with such a profound invoice that I was immediately thrust into medical debt. Recent studies show that 1 in 5 working-age Americans have severe trouble paying medical bills off. Thus, I am one of 5. But as you can see, I am one of many in the struggle to reconcile and recover. This has caused me an ineligibility for employment I've been qualified for, yet also a surviving decline in mental and physical health. Knowing I remain with this debt, I struggle with finding inner peace and simple happiness because it appears unattainable to recover from. Texas is amongst national leaders when it comes to medical debt, leaving hundreds of thousands of Texans with chronological barriers and living a stable lifestyle, much less successful. Not only do many Texans struggle with medical debt, but studies have shown that 4.2 million, roughly 25% of all Texans, have no health care coverage whatsoever. I could be specific by name, but I've confirmed that all but 2 of my roommates, 78 members of his family, have never, throughout the duration of their lives, their entire life, their entire genealogy, it's so fucking ridiculous, have had health care or access to affordable health care. Could you imagine what that does to a lineage? This is why I stand with and for the Poor People's Campaign, to fight for universal health care for all and paid sick days for all workers. And you know what? All doesn't seem too far-reaching because everyone's got a right to live. Mandela once said, like slavery and apartheid, poverty is not natural. It can be overcome and eradicated by the actions of human beings. We must accept the Poor People's Campaign as a direct action for moral revival. Thank you again.
Everybody's got a right to live. Everybody's got a right to live. Before this campaign fails, we'll all go downhill. Everybody's got a right to live. Everybody's got a right to live. Everybody's got a right to live. And before this campaign fails, we'll all go down to jail. Everybody's got a right to live.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Melinda McNeil. I came to talk about homelessness, but I got wrapped up into the poverty, the poor water, and everything else that I've heard.
Hi, my name is Marta Mercado. I'm from Brownsville, Texas, and we're here today in Austin to celebrate the Poor People's Campaign. Martin Luther King Jr. started this 50 years ago, the month he was assassinated, and we are picking up his legacy. We are here to shift the narrative from being about partisanship and left or right to being about morality. Is it right or is it wrong? We should all be moral human beings, and what we're seeing right now is that the moral fabric of the world is coming apart. Homelessness is normal. People aren't faced by it anymore. Instead of seeing someone in need, they don't see anyone. And so we're trying to change that. We're trying to change the conversation. People that are in marginalized positions, people that are experiencing homelessness, for example, undocumented folks, people with disabilities, LGBTQ community. We're lifting people up, these affected populations up into positions of power, and they're the ones who will be leading the Poor People's Campaign. I'm one of the 3 Texas state tri-chairs, and I represent the youth. We also have a faith leader and an impacted person, and we're the main organizers for the campaign.
And what are you guys rallying specifically for today?
So today we are rallying for ecological devastation and healthcare. Those are 2 pretty big topics, but they are interconnected at some point. Especially, for example, Hurricane Harvey. You know, the chemical Arcana plants that blew up. You know, that had a lot of health implications for a lot of people, and those people may also have not had health care. So that means we are leaving the poor to suffer the consequences of the rich, because the rich are the ones with the projects that are largely causing ecological devastation, such as pipelines, fracking, exporting gas. All of those things are affecting our communities. I'm from the Rio Grande Valley, and they're starting the Rio Bravo pipeline is going through that. They're trying to have a export port down there, so we're protesting that. And we're going to be rallying here for about 30-45 minutes, and then we're going to go down to State Building. We haven't said which one yet, to let them know what's on our minds and let them know that we are paying attention and that we don't care if they're left or right. We just care that they're being moral. And what we see right now in Texas, with regards to the pipelines, with regards to the lack of health care, is not moral. So that's what we're here for.
And is this part of a national movement?
Yes, this is a National Poor People's Campaign. We are Texas, one of over 30 states to join the campaign. We're one of the last ones to join the campaign so far.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. The interview's now. Now we can start.
Okay. All right. Thank you for showing up across Texas. Poor People's Campaign, let's do it together. Shoulder to shoulder. Together. Thank you. My name is Sima Hernandez, and we are here on the second action of the Poor People's Campaign as part of the 40 Days of Action. As a nonviolent action focused on morality, not partisanship. We are here today as part of the 40 Days of Moral Action across the nation. Every week we have a different theme, and this week's theme is ecological devastation and healthcare. We're going to focus on the things that we need to change here, starting in our state legislature and our capitals, bringing attention to the environmental injustice and the fact that we do need things like health care, Medicare for all. I would like to introduce the first speaker, Martha. Can you come here, please? I guess I'm
I need to hold this sign up. Y'all know where the Rio Grande Valley is?
Yeah. All right. Hi, can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
Are you sure? Yeah. Okay. My name is Martha Mercado. I'm from Brownsville, Texas, and I am an impacted person because they are going to be, the Rio Bravo pipeline already exists, and there are more plans to grow it in the Rio Grande Valley. Furthermore, they're trying to bring liquid natural gas to the valley. They're trying to build a pipeline that will go from Corpus Christi to the Rio Grande Valley and stretch over 130 miles. As we know, pipelines have this thing. They have this tendency to explode, and they have this tendency to do it in poor communities. They don't happen too often in the rich ones. Actually, I don't know if they've happened at all. So I'm here because I'm not going to let the children of Brownsville, Texas, the children of the Rio Grande Valley, who are already an extremely marginalized population, have to face the adverse health effects that come from a pipeline being built, a pipeline potentially exploding, exporting gas, LNG. I'm so sick of hearing about the benefits of liquefied natural gas, because the truth is that none of this is sustainable, and so all of these things that we're doing, we're taking away from our kids' future with everything we build, with every new pipeline that's laid down, every new fracking site, every new export place. So I'm here for the children of the Rio Grande Valley. Somos uno y somos unidos. Ya sé que no había tanta gente del valle que podía venir hoy, pero yo estoy aquí para todos ellos.
I'm here for all of the people from the Rio Grande Valley who couldn't make it today. I'm a proud Brownsville resident, and I'm not gonna let my people from the Rio Grande Valley, from Brownsville, just be another story, another impacted community that 1 year from now maybe, oh, they still don't have clean water. We're not gonna let that happen anymore. In Texas, we are not gonna let that happen anymore, and that's what we're here for. So, my name is Martha Mercado, and I'm here with y'all.
We're here with you, Martha. All of us are here from different parts of Texas. It is not easy to talk about these issues that affect us very deeply because it's hurtful. It is very hurtful to come from a situation and think that you may not ever get out of it. I'm living where I live in, and I've been here before, and I've talked about the importance of healthcare, talked about women's and children's living in poverty, people with disabilities living in poverty. It is something that we have to understand. When these things are done directly from our state legislators or Capitol, people at the Railroad Commissioner's office are issuing these permits. They are allowing these refineries, these profiteers to come into our land and start fracking and start polluting and start putting chemicals in our land, knowing that those same chemicals are going to affect us, they're going to poison us. And then we're caught in a system where we don't know what's going on with us when we're sick, but our first instinct is to go to the hospital. And guess what? Just one trip to the hospital can bankrupt a family and put us into poverty. The fact that there's 4.2 million people in the state of Texas that do not have health care coverage is an abomination. That is unheard of. And the hypocrisy, frankly, that comes out of our representatives thinking that we are pro-life. If we are pro-life, get this, if we are pro-life, then we need to grant the ability to have that life and granting us health care, Medicare for all.
That's right.
Here we go.
Medicare for all.
Again, I say I'm Belinda Maybe. I came to talk to you all about my homelessness. I've been homeless for the last 6 years. 6 years. I have not had a place to stay. I would love to get my own place. I've had my ID stolen 3 times. Once, this last time I got my ID, I took photocopies of it and stuck it inside my purse. So if anybody decides they want to use it, you can't use it. It's all mine. I've had money stolen. I have 4 kids, and they all stay in different states. They know their mother. I found the phone on the bus the other day. I've been able to see and talk to my kids. I love my kids. But one thing I don't want them to know is that I'm homeless. So if anybody can do anything to help the homeless in Dallas, Texas, period, do what you can to get us out of those shelters, because those shelters are not a place for a living person to stay. It's where they take us and they use us like animals. Right now, I'm outside on the sidewalk. I'm not on the inside because I got to get an x-ray of my lungs to say I don't have TB. So if you all can do anything, get us out of those shelters, and thank you for listening.
All right, hey, thank you so much, everybody, for coming out, and thank you for everybody for being here.
here. My name is Mark McKim. I'm a substitute teacher in Austin ISD, and I do not get paid sick days. Paid sick days are a benefit that some jobs have, but many working class jobs don't have. The majority of workers in Texas, retail, childcare, construction, and other low-wage jobs often do not receive paid sick time. So we have millions of workers in Texas or at least hundreds of thousands, who are not getting this vital benefit in order to take care of their family when they are sick. And when people have to take that day off, they lose that income for that day. And when you are working sometimes multiple low-wage jobs, you need that income. You can't afford to take a day off. So I have many students who end up coming to school sick because their parents aren't able to take a day off of work. Is that right? No. I live in Austin, and we are fortunate to have an amazing movement led by workers and other organizations to advocate for a paid sick day policy. And now there is a ballot petition in San Antonio and in Dallas. So tell all your friends in San Antonio and Dallas to support the working families working for paid sick days. You can find information online, but we as the Poor People's Campaign recognize that benefit as a right that all workers should have. Everyone should be able to take a day off of work and be able to care for their family or for themselves. I sadly, in this last year, my mother was diagnosed with cancer, a rare form that is not looking good, and I've had to take many days off of work in order to go be with her in Dallas, and unfortunately I have not been able to be compensated for those days. So it's something that I know hundreds of thousands and millions of workers would benefit from. So please recognize the importance of supporting the paid sick day policy, and we demand that our Texas legislators pass a statewide paid sick day ordinance or policy in order to provide all workers the ability to have a little bit of income when they have to take a day off to care for themselves or their family. Thank you.
So I just want to reiterate why we are here. We are the Poor People's Campaign. We are here to bring attention and address ecological devastation and healthcare and how they are both tied together. We have to understand, and we need to understand, because it's crucial to our future, to the future of our children and their children, to future generations, that whatever happens to Mother Earth using these chemicals, using the techniques that they use to get oil and get the natural gas out of this earth, it affects us. It affects us deeply. And when it causes those effects in our health, and we are bankrupt by one trip to the hospital, it bankrupts people and puts them into poverty. And when we are in poverty, the following generation is in poverty. So that it's a continuous cycle. It's a perpetual cycle of poverty. That's not something that we can have, and it's not sustainable. It seriously isn't. We are all one emergency away from not having a place to live, not being able to afford our medication, not being able to afford to even get a job. We are the working poor. We are the 99%, and we are not the only ones in the state of Texas. So please, if you want to join, and I encourage you to join, go to thepoorpeoplescampaign.org. Share this live stream with the people that you know and care about that are working, struggling to survive, to just get food on the table. We're going to read out loud, Mr. Josh here is going to read out loud the demands that we have from our Texas state legislators. And please, again, share this live stream from the Texas Poor People's Campaign.
My name is Josh Blaine. I am here as a representative, or in the spirit of my Jewish ancestors, the spirit of Tikkun Olam, fixing the world. We have a lot of work to do to fix the world, including everything we're about to read today. These are the demands that we make not only of our politicians, but of everybody who is responsible. This isn't a political movement, this is a moral movement. These are moral issues. As soon as we're done here, we're going to sing one more song led by Bree from Dallas. And we are going to march as a group, everybody who's willing to join us, up to the Railroad Commission. The Railroad Commission, many people don't realize, actually holds a lot of power in the state of Texas in regards to the regulation and oversight, so-called oversight of our natural resources, particularly oil and gas, which is why we are going to go continue to demonstrate up at the Railroad Commission on North Congress. We demand the expansion of Medicaid and the protection of Medicare's single-payer universal health care for all and statewide paid sick leave. We demand a ban on fracking, mountaintop mountaintop removal coal mining, coal ash ponds, and offshore drilling. We demand a ban on all new pipelines, refineries, and coal, oil, and gas export terminals. We demand a fully funded public water and sanitation infrastructure that keeps these utilities and services under public control and that prioritizes poor, rural, and native communities that have been harmed by polluting and extractive industries. We demand 100% clean energy and a public jobs program to transition to a green economy that will put millions of people into sustainable living wage jobs. We demand the protection of public lands and the immediate cessation of opening up public lands for polluting and extractive industries. We demand equal treatment and accessible housing, health care, public transportation, adequate income, and services for people with disabilities. We demand a reallocation of resources from the bloated military budget to education, healthcare, jobs, and green infrastructure needs, and strengthening a veterans administration system that must remain public. We demand fully funded public resources and access to mental health professionals and addiction and recovery programs. And specific to Texas here, we demand the removal of Kelsey Warren, CEO of Energy Transfer Partners, of the Dakota Access Pipeline, of the Trans-Pecos Pipeline, of the BioBridge Pipeline, from the Texas Parks and Wildlife Commission. If you agree with these demands, march with us up to the Railroad Commission and let us deliver the ban on fracking and the rest of these to those who will listen. And Bree, let's sing a song.
Turn me around, turn me around, turn me around, don't wanna let nobody turn me around, gonna keep on walking, keep on talking, marching up the voices heard.
Nobody turn me around, turn me around, turn me around, and don't let nobody
turn me around, gonna keep on walking, keep on talking, marching till my voice is heard.
Oh, Congress,
turn me around, turn me around, turn me around, I'm gonna let go, Congress. Turn me around, I'm gonna keep on walking, keep on talking, march until my voice is heard.
Let no commission.
I had a conversation with John about
Hey, Martha, tell them to slow down in front when you get up there.
Slow down up front, please.
Turn me around, keep on walking, keep on talking, march until our voice is heard. Ain't gonna let no fracking turn me around, turn me around, turn me around. Ain't gonna let no fracking turn me around. I'm gonna keep on walking, keep on talking, or marching till our voice is heard.
Ain't gonna let no illness turn me around.
But you know, we're not going to fair chance to.
On talking, marching till our voice is heard. Gonna let no tweet, turn me around, turn me around, turn me around. Ain't gonna let no tweet, turn me around. Gonna keep on walking, keep on talking, marching till our voice is heard. Turn me around.
We can.
¡Una bola! Forward together! No step back! Forward together! No one step back! Forward together!
No one step back!
Somebody scream!
Turn me around, keep on walking, keep on talking, marching till my voice is heard.
It's like the German culture.
Relatively low risk to enter, but again, you might be asked to leave. If you're not willing to risk arrest, then at that point you should leave. But let's stay and sing songs. If people want to give testimony like we already heard, come back up and say some more in this space. Otherwise, let's keep singing songs and hold peaceful, loving protest.
Now,
Take the banners in. Let's go. Woke up this morning with my mind stayed on freedom. Woke up this morning with my mind stayed on freedom. Hallelujah, hallelujah, stayed on freedom. Stayed on freedom. Woke up this morning with my mind stayed on freedom. Woke up this morning with my mind stayed on freedom. Woke up this morning with my mind stayed on freedom. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. I'm walking and talking with my mind stayed on freedom. I'm walking and talking with my mind stayed on freedom. Walking and talking with my mind stayed on freedom. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Texting and tweeting with my mind. Step down, Kelsey Warren, step down. Step down, Kelsey Warren, step down. Step down, Kelsey Warren, step down. So Kelsey Warren is not in this building, but he does fund the commissioners heavily. One of the reasons we're in the Railroad Commission is because they are an egregious example of corruption in our political so-called regulatory system. These three commissioners are elected. Most people who elect them don't know what they're elected to do because it's called the Railroad Commission, but it really should be called the Texas Natural Resource Commission because that's what they do. They control the natural resources of our state. And they are owned, the recent studies show that upwards of 67% of what they brought in for their campaign finance was financed by the oil and gas industry that they are supposed to be tasked with regulating. Including Kelsey Warren, the CEO of Energy Transfer Partners, who does also sit on the Texas Parks and Wildlife Board, or Commission, which is also an egregious affront to what we call democracy. Would anybody like to come deliver these demands up to the actual office of the Railroad Commission with me right now? All right, let's get a couple people. If y'all can hold down the song and the chants here, we'll be right back.
Thank y'all.
A couple.
shine. Let it shine. Let it shine. Let it shine.
Let's try 12.
I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. I'm gonna let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine.
Demands here from the Poor People's Campaign for the railroad commissioners that includes a stop to fracking in new oil infrastructure and adoption of 100% renewable energy. To deliver that to the commissioners. And we also would request that they actually take a meeting with us and have a hearing on fracking. Are they here right now?
They're in the
Well, shall we go back downstairs, or do you all want to stay here for a bit?
When will their meeting be?
I don't know. What time does the building close? We close at 5.
What time do they go home? At 5. Well, we've got everybody up here. I say we stay here and sing here.
Yeah.
Perfect.
I take phone calls and I have work to do.
Well, the work that the commissioners are doing are having impacts on everybody here and everybody that we represent, their health and the health of the planet. So, we respectfully come here to request that they actually listen to what their impacts on the work that they're doing, the rubber stamping that they are enacting this so-called regulatory commission of theirs.
We demand the expansion of Medicaid and the protection of Medicare, single-payer universal health care for all, and statewide paid sick leave. We demand a ban on fracking, mountaintop removal, coal mining, coal ash ponds, and offshore drilling. We demand a ban on all new pipelines, refineries, and coal, oil, and gas export terminals. We demand a fully funded public water and sanitation infrastructure that keeps these utilities and services under public control and that prioritizes poor, rural, and native communities that have been harmed by polluting and extractive industries. We demand 100% clean, renewable energy and a public jobs program to transition to a green economy that will put millions of people into sustainable living wage jobs. We demand the protection of public lands and the immediate cessation of opening up public lands for polluting and extractive industries. We demand equal treatment and accessible housing, health care, public transportation, adequate income, and services for people with disabilities. We demand a reallocation of resources from the military budget to education, health care, jobs, and green infrastructure needs, and strengthening a Veterans Administration system that must remain public. We demand fully funded public resources and access to mental health professionals and addiction and recovery programs. We demand the removal of Kelsey Warren, CEO of Energy Transfer Partners, from the Texas Parks and Wildlife Commission. Don't y'all think that these are demands that the commissioner himself ought to hear today?
All of them
Yeah.
Yeah, all of them.
Yeah.
Especially on a Monday.
Yeah, it's a Monday, that's right. Yeah, so I think we'll stay here until they come out and hear us ask these demands of them directly. How's that sound?
That's why I'm here.
Ain't gonna let nobody turn me around. I'm gonna keep on walking, keep on talking. I'll march until my voice is heard. Ain't gonna let no commissioner turn me around, turn me around, turn me around. Ain't gonna let no commissioners turn me around. I'm gonna keep on walking, keep on talking. I'll march until my voice is heard.
I'm gonna let no commissioner
Turn me around, turn me around, turn me around. Ain't gonna let no commissioner turn me around. I'm gonna keep on walking, keep on talking, march until my voice is heard.
Ain't gonna let no phone calls
Turn me around, turn me around, turn me around. Ain't gonna let no phone calls turn me around. I'm gonna keep on walking, keep on talking, I'll march until my voice is heard.